Hello everyone, today I'm here to review for you Until Proven Guilty, in particular the Starry Sky necklace case, and this was sent to me by DV Games for the review. This is a cooperative game where 1 to 6 players are going to be working through this sort of narrative using deduction and stuff to hopefully prove the innocence of the person that is on trial. So let's go over how the game plays. I won't be giving any spoilers, but hinting towards how the game structure actually works, and then we'll go on to some pros and cons and let you know if this is an experience that you and your game group should try. One thing that's really important to know is that while you will be playing with the cards on the table and the majority of the gameplay is there, you do need a connection to the internet, mostly via a phone, where you will connect to a website to input your answers for the different questions. The answers are all just certain numbers, being the clues and evidence that's sort of on the table in front of you. So you are just typing in a number and it will tell you if you've got the right bit of information or not, flipping jurors either to the guilty or innocent side that will give you your score at the end of the game. The way this works is you're going to be going through this deck of cards and you can have one player read that out, or maybe players voicing the different characters, such as like the prosecutor, the defendant, and other characters that may pop up along the way. Players are going to be working their way through this narrative deck of cards, and one player can read those out, or players could maybe even voice the different characters like the prosecutor, the defendant, that sort of thing. And they will go through. Periodically, it will tell you to grab one of the envelopes of evidence cards, adding new stuff to the centre of the table. Sometimes it will remove evidence cards that have been used. Otherwise, evidence from the very beginning will stay throughout on the table, usable to you throughout the whole game. As you go through that narrative deck, you will get some highlighted questions, often from the prosecutor, where you then have to find the evidence that proves them wrong. A very generic example, as to not spoil anything in the case, you would say they were in this location, and maybe you have some evidence, a receipt, a something or other that would maybe prove they were in a different location at that time. Once you've figured out which evidence card is answering that trial question, well, you turn to that website, you input the number, and it will tell you whether you're wrong, and then maybe you have to flip one of the jury members to guilty because they're not sure you know what you're talking about, or maybe you are correct, maybe you even get to turn one of the people that think your defendant is guilty to the innocent side. As you progress, you're going to be opening all 5 of the envelopes full of evidence cards, so it will grow across the table. You'll have loads of different bits of information to answer the different trial questions that come up, hopefully answering them right first time, flipping as many of those jury to innocent, because at the end of the game, depending on how many of them think your client is innocent, basically is your score. So one thing that I think might be a little divisive is that you don't necessarily need an app, but you do need an internet connection. I kind of wish that there was another booklet that you could have maybe played this offline with, but it's also a very streamlined system. You very much are just typing in a number and it's going to give you right or wrong, and maybe if you are wrong, a little sort of hint to maybe the type of evidence. Is it a document? Is it a person's statement? Those sort of things. It's going to give you a little hint, maybe if you're wrong, towards maybe look in this sort of direction. But otherwise, you are just very quickly tapping a number in, hitting sort of confirm that that's the number you want. It's then going to tell you right or wrong, progressing in that story and keep going. So it's a really streamlined use of sort of a way of confirming whether you're right or wrong. But I do wish that you could just take this box anywhere, play it without an internet connection, and there was a little booklet of sorts that you could look up to see if the answers were right or wrong. I think you definitely could have had that included in the box, so it's odd that it's not there. In terms of the way this sort of cooperative narrative experience is structured, it has a very good flow to it. You're getting a little bit of narrative, a little bit of flavour. Every now and again you're getting a bunch of new evidence cards, which is also building up that story with maybe a statement from one of the potential witnesses, or just someone that was at the event where the crime was committed. You'll get bits and pieces of imagery and stuff, so you can piece things together. Because of the way that the evidence cards comes out in those 5 different envelopes, you're never sort of bombarded with loads of new stuff, so it sort of trickles out throughout the experience, but I also really like the way a lot of it stays around. That does mean that the questions at the very end of the case could be referring to one of the cards that's been on the table since very near the beginning. And often with escape room games or these sort of games where you're going through cards, often once a card has been sort of come out on the table, it's probably going to be used soon, and that's not necessarily the case in Until Proven Guilty. As I alluded to, you do need that internet connection for typing in the numbers to confirm whether you're right or wrong. So therefore it feels a little bit weird that you also have the jurors that you are manually sort of flipping to guilty or innocent sort of on the side on the table. I think it's a really cool sort of tracker, and it sort of pops out of the box. It's a cool component sort of thing, but it feels odd that you have that sort of manualness when you also have the app, or not app, but website to put in whether you're right or wrong, telling you to then flip or unflip jurors from guilty to innocent. It feels like that could also be just tracking that for you, but maybe that's where the limit is. Maybe that would then need an app, and they didn't want to go down that route because they'd need to keep updating it. Not so much the case with a website. But it does feel odd, but at the same time it is a cool component to visually have on the table. You know, like, oh, we've got a few wrong, we've had a few of the jurors turn against us. Hopefully we can answer the next few straight away, right first time, and get them back on our side. In terms of player count, we played this through as 4 players, and it is a 1 to 6 player game, and actually with a lot of escape rooms or narrative driven sort of games where there might be a puzzle or a deduction, I often find that a low player count like 2 is really ideal. In this, you are talking through the evidence, so we found that really worked well with the 4 players around the table, and yeah, I think you could probably go above that, but unless you're perfectly sat round the table, you would then have to be passing the evidence cards around rather than having them sat on the table in front of everyone. Not necessarily a problem. In fact, this is one of those experiences where more players just has that more discussion round the table, and it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm solving this puzzle over here, no one else is doing anything. Pretty much you're all discussing what the evidence could be that is going to hopefully prove that your client didn't do it. And for the fact that we played it through with 4 players, on the box it says about 75 minutes. We actually did this in 70 minutes from pretty much taking the lid off the box. Maybe 75 minutes if you include actually getting the stuff out onto the table and packing it away at the end. So the time on the box, that is pretty accurate. As with a lot of escape rooms, narrative games, you're not going to be playing this through again. However, it includes in the rulebook just a little sort of reminder of how to sort of store the game away, so you can then pass it on to friends, family, and it be completely replayable. Nothing in the game box is used up, and I'll definitely be passing this one on for others to enjoy. We, as a 4, would definitely be wanting to play others in the Until Proven Guilty line. It's certainly a cool experience, and well, we had a lot of fun to sort of chatting through the different evidence, and yeah, there was a few things that stumped us for a little bit, had us scratching our heads, and others where one player just was like, they twigged the answer. It's like, oh, this evidence, and it was really good fun actually just playing through this one. DV games have a number of these sort of things where they're narrative or escape room games, and well, they just seem to be absolutely smashing out the park with all of them, be it the detective, the deckscape, and other sort of lines that they have as well. So really happy that we've played this one through, can definitely recommend it. Yes, you're only getting that one-time play because it's a narrative game. Then you know all the answers because you've played it through. Yes, you do need that little bit of internet connection, which I think they could have got around, and I kind of wish they had, because then more people would sort of enjoy it. But don't be put off, it's not massive stuff. You are just using it to input a single number or maybe double-digit number into a sort of web browser, giving you whether you're right or wrong, maybe hinting you off in the right direction, but never sort of going, this is the right thing. Just sort of hinting you, maybe have a look at these sort of things over here. Overall, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend giving this one a play. That is Until Proven Guilty, and in particular, the Starry Sky necklace. Well, check this one out. Let me know if you have in the comment section below what you thought of it. Let me know if this review has helped you know if it's a game for you or not by smashing that like button. And until next time, have a starry sky filled good day or night of gaming.